Hello, welcome to my channel. You know, if you were with me a couple weeks ago, you saw me put together this Quint figure. I did a little instructional video on how to assemble him, how to paint him, and I even printed up an accessory for him, that little machete right there. But today, I'm working on the second installment of my Jaws movie collection, I guess. And today I'm going to be working on Sheriff Brody. You know, this particular sculpt comes from Trucker Doug's toy chest on Etsy, and they have two versions. They have the ones, the head with the glasses and the head without. You know, he wore his glasses pretty much throughout the movie, so I picked the one with the glasses. Although today I'm going to be working on a figure that's from a particular scene towards the end of the movie where he actually blows up Jaws. But, you know, I really like the version with the glasses, so that's the one I'm sticking with. You know, to finish out this build, I put together some accessories that I picked up on Classic TV Toys. Their S-type body, which is just really nice. It's Amigo scale, and it has some really good articulation. It doesn't have as much articulation as the new Mego bodies, but I found the new Mego bodies are a little smaller in scale, and I wanted to kind of keep these in scale with the, I don't know if I would call it the original Mego body, but I wanted it to be a little bit more of that 8-inch scale, that 1/9 scale. So I'm using the S-type body. This is just the flesh color. They have a tan one, which is actually lighter for some reason. It looks pasty, but yeah, I don't know. I don't name those things. So I'm going to be using this body. I'm going to be using their black t-shirt. It's a really nice t-shirt. Fits well too. I'm going to be using their, I call them mom jeans, but they're blue denim jeans. You know, look very 70s, don't they? From the stitching to the pockets, it's really 70s. And they have these little black tennis shoes. They're more like deck shoes, but I'm going to be using these today, along with, gosh, this is just a really nice, I don't know if you can see it too well, but this is a really nice accessory right here. This is their police belt, and it comes with a handcuff case, some, I guess, magazine holders if you have a semi-automatic, a flashlight holder, and a holster with a little 38 snub nose. Let me see if I can pull it out. Well, it's not really a snub nose. Let's see if I can get this guy out. Pretty tight. Let's see, am I missing something? Oh, it has a little release here. No wonder. Okay. With a little police revolver. That's pretty cool, huh? I think Brody's in the movie was probably a 6-inch. This looks like a 4-inch scaled revolver, but really cool little accessory. I think I have an idea for another build that I'm going to use this with. But that is super cool. So today I'm going to be painting this head. And I'm probably going to have to print up another accessory. I don't know if you figured it out yet, but he had an accessory at the end of the movie that made the destruction of Jaws possible. So I'm going to be working with my printer to get that taken care of. But if you enjoyed the Jaws movie, the original Jaws, you know, the other movies were, I guess they were okay or whatever. Jaws 2 just seemed a little bit forgettable, but Jaws 1 was a fabulous movie. So I'm going to be painting this guy today, going through a tutorial on how I do flesh tones and, you know, hair. So if that interests you, I hope you stick around. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Usually I prime these guys, but I think what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to use a darker flesh tone as my priming base and see how that works out. So let me go ahead and get started. You know, I just came back to this guy and I realized it'd probably be better to, it would be a better idea to go ahead and do the next layer of flesh. So I'm going to take the Cadian flesh tone, which is the next layer, which is, as you can see, a shade lighter than this one. So I'm just going to put a little bit on my brush, try to get rid of it a little bit more, and just kind of like, I guess, block this out. Not really dry brushing, but just kind of like adding that next layer so I can get that depth that I want. You can see I'm removing about maybe 75% of the paint. then I'm simply just going to add that next layer. I want it to be consistent, so make sure that you're removing the same amount of paint each time. It looks like I might have put a little too much, and that's what you got to watch for. I go for a light amount first, just to see how it's working. And if you need to add a little bit more, you can. If you make a mistake like that, I think it's salvageable. Try to get rid of a little bit more, because I'm just trying to do it in like light layers, just so I don't over apply it. You want to get in those eyes. And then I'll put my last layer, which is the lightest flesh tone that I'm going to use. And you can see how that's maintaining that shadow effect, the deeper colors in the face. And this is a good time to practice the I guess blocking, the removal of the paint, because the last layer is going to be the lightest one. So you want to get a feel for how your brush works and how much paint you're going to leave on the brush. Make sure you give it a nice even coating, maintaining the deeper levels in that darker color. And that's what it should look like. Okay, I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to do my last layer before I start the hair. So when I start this figure, I'm going to work on developing a realistic flesh tone, and to do that I'm going to start with a darker base, and I'm going to move up from there. I'm going to start with this one. It's Bugman's Glow. After I get the Bugman's Glow down and it's dried, I'll move to the next darker shade, next lighter shade, which would be this one right here. This is the Cadian Flesh Tone. And then finally, a light dry brush or a minimal application with this, the Kids Love Flesh. So that's how I'm going to develop the flesh tone on this guy. So this is basically, I guess, my primer in this case, the darker color. And I'm just going to go ahead and lay it down on the face, and then let it dry before I get on to the next portion of the layering. So just pretty easy. You're just going to cover the entire face with this darker flesh tone, including the glasses. Yeah, you don't have to get it on the glasses, but if it does, don't worry about it. And you can see I'm covering the entire ear, even into the hair, because I want to make sure I get those deeper areas, because this is going to provide that shading that I'm looking for. And just make sure that you cover the entire face and get into the eyes and under the nose and chin. Let me get to the back of the head. And you can see that that was pretty easy to do. I just made sure I covered the entire face. And then at this point, I'm just going to let that dry. That's going to be my base coat, where I develop the other colors on top of it. So let's let this dry, and I might tackle the hair, but I got to let that dry because I went into the hair a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do at this point. Just kind of like let that dry. You know, I just came back to this guy and I realized it'd probably be better to, it would be a better idea to go ahead and do the next layer of flesh. So I'm going to take the Cadian flesh tone, which is the next layer, which is, as you can see, a shade lighter than this one. So I'm just going to put a little bit on my brush, try to get rid of it a little bit more, and just kind of like, I guess, block this out. Not really dry brushing, but just kind of like adding that next layer so I can get that depth that I want. You can see I'm removing about maybe 75% of the paint. And I'm simply just going to add that next layer. I want it to be consistent, so make sure that you're removing the same amount of paint each time. Looks like I might have put a little too much, and that's what you got to watch for. I go for a light amount first just to see how it's working, and if you need to add a little bit more, you can. If you make a mistake like that, I think it's salvageable. Try to get rid of a little bit more, because I'm just trying to do it in like light layers, just so I don't over apply it. You want to get in those eyes. And then I'll put my last layer, which is the lightest flesh tone that I'm going to use. And you can see how that's maintaining that shadow effect, the deeper colors in the face. And this is a good time to practice the I guess blocking, the removal of the paint, because the last layer is going to be the lightest one. So you want to get a feel for how your brush works and how much paint you're going to leave on the brush. Make sure you give it a nice even coating, maintaining the deeper levels in that darker color. And that's what it should look like. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do my last layer before I start the hair. Now for the last layer, this is actually going to be the dry brush, and I'm going to use my Kislev Flesh. So I've gone from this one, Bugman's Glow, for my base, to Layer Cadian Flesh Tone, and finally I'm going to use my Kislev Flesh. And I'm going to try to get rid of about 90% of this one. And you can see I'm just dry brushing that last layer on. And hopefully it gives me that desired effect of like a realistic flesh tone with some depth to it. Get a little bit more. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. All right, I think at this point I'll be able to paint the glasses. Oops, tighten that down. The glasses and the hair. But you can see the different layers of the paint, from the eyes to the cheeks, where you have those raised portions. That's sort of the effect I'm going for. So I'm gonna let this dry and I'll come back and I'll start the hair. Okay, I'm gonna go for a really dark brown for the hair. I'm gonna use this Rhinox hide. And I might soften it up or highlight it with something else. I'm thinking Xandri dust. We'll see. But let me go ahead and get this down so I can get this major section out of the way. And again, I'm just painting it with a bigger brush just to get the base coat down. I'll come back and I'll detail it with a smaller brush. You'll notice I'm just staying away from the flesh colored areas. It's a pretty good tone on that skin. And you know what, as you're dry brushing the different layers, you can add as much or as little as you want. But I remember he was kind of tan, I guess being out there filming, you know, in the ocean. Okay, almost done. The major portions anyway. All right, I'm gonna switch brushes and I'm gonna go something a little smaller. Let's see, I thought I had it here. That might be too small. Like a detail brush. Here we go. That's about right. And again, if you intrude into the flesh tone, you can always go back and add a little bit to spot cover. Trying to follow the hairline. Looking good. Oh, it looks like I may, well, let's see how it looks. You can see that darker spot right there in that corner. May have to go back and fix that. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see what happens. I'm trying to do the hairline. Make it look natural. Okay, looking good. This has been the hardest part thus far. But we haven't gotten to the eyes yet. That's always nerve-wracking for me. Again, I'm starting at the nape of the neck, and I'm just pulling up. So you don't have like a straight line, you have a little bit more natural. I mean, you can always, if you wanted to, straighten it out. It just depends on what look you're going for. I'll straighten this out. Because I want it to kind of look very manicured back here. You know, when I do hooper, I'll probably make the edges a little bit more non-uniformed or scraggly. But on Sheriff Brody, I think I'm going to make it look a little bit more tight. And it looks like I'm almost done. I have a nice gunmetal silver that I'm going to use for his glasses. Okay. I'm gonna let that dry before I do the, oops. Well, I had to make a little mistake there just so I could show you how to clean it up. Now I'm really just going all out. Actually, it doesn't look too bad. Okay, I think I'm pretty much done here. I'll come back and do that cleanup for you so you can see how I'd handle it. But yeah, he's looking pretty good. Okay, I've got my flesh color here. And I got a smaller brush. I'm simply going to take that last color I used, Kislev flesh, and I'm going to just touch up those areas that have where I just went a little too deep in there. I think over here in this corner too. Okay, you know what, I've got a problem. I had a couple of my paints dry out, my Xandri dust dried out, and also my my gunmetal. So for his glasses, I'm going to just use this gloss enamel, this silver that I have. And I'm going to have to run down to the Warcraft store. Luckily, they opened one in my neighborhood. Like right down the street. Let me just get a little bit of the silver on here. Should I paint his eyes first? Yeah, I'll just do the silver glasses, and if I have to do touch up, I can. You know, that's too bright. I'm gonna go down to the store and I'm gonna go get some of my gunmetal and the Xandri dust, and I'm gonna get back to this. All right, Brody's going to need an M1 Garand, so I went on to Cults 3D and I found this file right here. It's about $6 for the rifle, but you know, I can use it for other things too, I'm sure, because it's a classic rifle. So this is a pretty cool design. It's got a lot of detail. I think it's exactly what I'm looking for. So I downloaded it to my Anycubic, and I noticed that it's a little small. But in order to scale it, I'm going to use this hand I got from a file that has a complete like S-type body. So by downloading that, I've got specs for different things like armor, weapons. so that I can use this model right here as like a, I guess a baseline of how big a certain item has to be. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this hand so that I can have it grasp the rifle. And then at that point, I'll have a pretty good idea of how big the rifle needs to be. Okay, so there's my hand. I'm going to take my rifle and I'm going to rotate it too. Oops, wrong way. Alright. So it looks like it's going to have to be a little bit bigger. So let me go to my scale button. Scale it up. That looks pretty good. Let me grab my hand just to make sure. All right, that looks pretty good. Okay, it looks like I have a pretty good scale. Maybe a tad bigger. Maybe a tad smaller. And then you can see that you can just come back and you can adjust the gun to whatever size you need. Looks like that's a pretty good size. So I'm going to go ahead and get this printed. I've got some special resin that I picked up. It's an ABS resin, which will, you know, I use the ABS resin whenever I'm printing accessories that the figure's going to hold, just because it's a little more durable. And I'll show you what it looks like after I get this printed. Alrighty, I went down to my local Warhammer store, picked up my lead belcher. I also noticed that I was out of, well, actually, had dried my Xandri dust. So let me go ahead and start on his eyes, and then I'll work on the glasses. I'm going to use the same color, that Rhinox hide that I used on his hair, to shade in his eyes. And I'm just painting the inside of his eye. Just like that. Yeah, somebody had asked, I guess it was about a week ago, where I got these like very thin brushes, and it was, you know, just at Michael's. It's the thinnest brush that they have, or smallest brush. And it's a Meister's Touch? I don't know. Master's Touch. Fine Art Studio. 20/0. So that's what I'm using for the eyes. Now that I've got those, I'm going to go ahead and paint his frame. Again, I'm going to use my lead belcher. You can see that it's metallic, but it's a little darker. That other silver paint that I had was way too light. Okay. And if you get any on the face, you can always just go back with your flesh colored paint, like what I did with the hair, and get that taken care of. It's looking good. I really like this lead belcher. It's kind of like a pewter color. Get the side of the glasses. Oh, I got a little on the cheek. I can take care of that later. Okay, I think I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry, and I'll come back to them. I'd like to do the highlights on the hair next. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry, and I'll be back. Okay, I'm gonna get my dry brush and my Xandri dust. And this, I'm gonna try to get rid of all of the paint because I just want it to be very, that's what I'm looking for, very subtle. So I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna try to get rid of all the paint. When I don't see any more paint coming off of this brush, that's when I'm gonna use it. Okay. Very, very light dry brush. Cool. All right, let me see if I can get those eyes. I just got some white paint, apple barrel. And I'm not going to cover the entire eye. I want some of that brown to stay in there. So I'm just going to be working from the center out. This is where you need to have those steady nerves. Steady hand there. I'm trying to brace my hand on my vise here so that I can get a little bit of stability there, and I'm trying to minimize the amount of paint that I have on my brush. I'm starting in the middle and just kind of pushing out. And just take it slow. Okay, now I'm going to let that dry and use my my brown again, because he has like really dark eyes. I think they're brown, but I'm going to paint him that really dark brown and add some flecks of a lighter brown. But I think he's coming along pretty nicely, looking pretty good. Yeah, look at that Xandri dust. Okay, be right back. You know, my Brody's coming out so well, I want to print out a piece that he can kind of interact with. And I found this print online. This is the orca boat from Jaws. I'm not interested in the boat right now, but I am interested in that mast. It'd be cool if I could, you know, recreate that scene from Jaws where Brody is leaning on the mast as the orca sinks, and he's taking that final shot at Jaws that hits the tank and blows him up. So I'm going to go ahead and print this out on my printer. I'm going to max out the size on that mast, and I'm thinking it might be big enough because my my print base it's over 9 inches. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and print it out, and I'm going to see what it looks like. I might be able to get away with it. Let's print it up and see what happens. Okay, I got my prints done. I'm really liking this rifle. Look at that M1 Garand. I may do some straps on there. I'll see if I can figure that out. But that came out beautifully. This looks a little small. So I think I'm gonna have to go back and print it up again. I'm thinking about doing, breaking it up into two sections and maximizing the print that way. So let's kind of see what I can get when I do that. Yeah, this is way too small. Maybe his leg could fit in there. Yeah, I'm thinking about maybe twice as big would work. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the drawing board on this, but I am very happy with this. I'm gonna go ahead and get this painted so it looks a little more realistic. So that's where I am right there with my prints. Okay, obviously that didn't work. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to cut this in half. I'm thinking maybe there. So let me go to, let me minimize this for a second. Let me go to my cutter. Let me get this out of the way. It doesn't look like I can get a perfect line. I guess that's okay. Oops. And I guess I'm going to cut it right about there. So let me perform the cut. And I'm left with two pieces. I think I'm going to get rid of this one. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. Keep this one. I'll delete this one. And let me scale this. Let's see, where's my scaler? Let me try about 150, see what happens. That looks like it might fit. I'm going to go ahead and support it. Oops, I sliced too soon. I go back and get my supports. Support. Okay, let me go ahead and prepare. Try this again. Click it, enable support. I'm going for a tree. And now let me slice it. It's taking a little bit. Okay, that looks good. So I just send this print and I save it. Let's see, I am going to export plate file and I'll just call this 1 and save it. And then I'm going to go back to that other one. It was 150, right? So I'll delete this one. Let me go back. Okay. I'm going to delete this one. And let me go ahead and move this one, rotate it around. And I'm going to make this 150. And I'm simply going to do the same thing. I'm going to print both of them. This one I'll call number 2. Okay. And enable support, tree, slice. So I'm going to go ahead and get these guys printed up. I'm going to glue them together and see what happens. So that's it for Brody's stand. Well, here's the first half. I'll go ahead and get it off my printer. I really like how these tree supports work. I'm gonna have to do a little bit of cleanup though, but I just wanted to show you a little how easy they are to kind of peel off. So let me go ahead and get this cleaned up and we'll start working on the second part to this. I'm gonna check the scale as well. So for the eye, my iris color is going to be this Rhinox hide. It's the same color I used for the hair. And I'm going to start at the center, and I'm going to kind of like push up. It's important you know where your brush is on this one. They look pretty even. I might have gotten lucky on this. Oh, I'm not going to mess with that. Then I'm going to come back with my lighter brown. This is a Mornfang brown. I'm going to add a little fleck in there. Oh, let me shake this up. I'm just going to add a little fleck. So much for that. Okay, I think I got it. Need a little bit more on that right facing eye. Right at the top of the lid. And if you push it into the eyelid, you can always go back and add some more of that that flesh color there. Okay, I think I got the eyes done. Let's see. What else do I need? Oh, yeah, I got to do his mouth. Acadian flesh tone for the lips. And I'm just pushing a little bit of paint in between them. Nothing fancy. And then I'm going to come back with my contrast element flesh and put some of this in the, I'm going to water it down a bit. I'll put some of this in the nose. Between the lips, maybe under the mouth, and that little crease there, that little crease there. Get a little bit more for the forehead. Over the ear. Get the ear. Okay, did I miss anything? I think I'm good. Sorry about that. Might be ready. See anything I missed? What am I missing? Maybe a little bit of flash in the eye. I don't know, those eyes look pretty good. Maybe I won't even mess with them. If anything, I might add a little black. Where's that black? It's like a pinprick in there for a pupil. Right in the center. I think I'm good. Let me cover him with a matte clear coat and get him on a body, see what he looks like. I know I'm missing something. I guess not. I had originally decided that I would use something called Agrax Earthshade to weather this piece. However, I ran out of Agrax Earthshade and I purchased some, but I don't know where I left it. So what I'm doing is I'm just using a mixture of inks. I got an ochre and a black that I just kind of like mixed together, just dip the paintbrush in each and kind of like watered it down. Because you don't want it to be dark. You just want it to kind of like look like weathering, like you know, the ship's been on the ocean for a while. So I'm just running this across that white paint that I laid down. And you can see it's doing a pretty good job weathering the piece and making it look like it's been at sea for quite a while. So I thought I'd share that with you. If you have Agrax Earthshade, I think it would work very well, but you're gonna have to dilute it because you don't want it to be dark. You just want it to be, you just want it to look like grime, you know? And I mean, Agrax Earthshade does look like grime, but in its I guess undiluted form, it might be just a little too much. So I think this is going to be a good substitute for that. And it looks like it's coming along nicely. I just need to put some final touches on this and it'll be ready to display. So that's that piece right there. You know, I do have to say that this is probably one of the funnest, or is funnest even a word? This is probably the most fun I've had putting together a custom in a while. It's a lot of fun things going on here. I really dig a couple of things. First off, that stand. Boy, I think I nailed that scale, didn't I? It looks pretty cool. And then also the rifle. Look at that. That's one fun model. Look at that. And you know what? I have some behind the scenes stars that I wanted to show off. First off, the Rust-Oleum that I have, this matte clear enamel, it really protects and kind of enhances the finish of your model. I don't know if I can get Brody out of there, but it just provides a nice consistent finish that protects your paint job. You do have to be careful though, because if you spray too much of it, if you get too close, it can be cloudy. But if you spray it maybe, I spray mine about, I don't know, 10 to, no, actually more like 12 to 15 inches away and just kind of spritz it. Just getting a nice even coat without having it be too heavy. Because it'll cloud your finish. It could ruin your paint job if you're not careful. But yeah, that looks really cool. Really happy with that gun. You know, I talked about it in the video. This is the standard resin. The standard resin is really good for making heads. It's not good for making hands and accessories that are going to be held or played with. For that, you need this stuff right here, this ABS-like resin. This is the gray one. I have black stuff too that I use when I don't want to paint the accessory, the gun or whatever, or the hand. But when I'm painting them, I use this gray stuff. And really good for weapons, because you know what, they're not fragile. You can actually bend them a little bit. I already have this one in his hand, so I'm not going to take it off, but you're going to have to take my word for it on that. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. This whole build was a lot of fun. Really happy with that head sculpt. Look at that. Just a lot of detail. I'm glad I got the one with the glasses. It may not be movie accurate, especially for this scene right here. However, I think it just builds a little bit more interest in the entire build. So really happy with the figure overall. Those accessories from Classic TV Toys really do stand out, don't they? That shirt, the jeans, the deck shoes. See, I think I have the gun over here. You know, the police belt with the gun. Really neat. Really happy with this guy. Can hardly wait to tackle Brody. I got some ideas for something that's going to be really fun with that particular build. And I put a shout out, I think it was when I did my Quint video, that I was looking for a Jaws model. And my buddy JD over at JD Makes, he actually sent me some files that he found. And I think they're going to work out really well. I don't know if I have enough PLA to print the entire thing in the scale that I want, so I'm going to have to order some more. But I am definitely going to get that guy printed. Wow, really happy with this. Well, till next time, you guys stay safe, be cool, have fun, man. Customizing is such a lot of fun. I don't know if you're interested in getting into the PLA printers, but you can see you get some really cool accessories. I also have this little print this so that I could have a little, I guess, floating debris in the shot. But my PLA printer is a lot of fun. It's not the best in the world, and if you saw last week's video, I showed some upgrades that I got for it. But for my entry-level printer and kind of like for things I like to do, I'm happy with it. I'm also happy with my resin printer. I was thinking about getting another one. I still work with kids sometimes over at school or church, or you know, my granddaughter, she's only going to be like 1, but I thought maybe getting a water-based resin kit set up might be something I might be interested in. I might tackle that later, who knows. But really happy with this guy. I'm glad you stuck around this far. I hope you're having fun with your customizing if you're doing it. If you haven't, hey, what's stopping you? Well, till next time, see ya.